The stars were silent. The void stretched forever, like a black ocean with no shore, no sound, no light. Just cold and space and silence. Then something moved. A massive alien ship entered the system, long and sharp like a blade made of metal and fire. Its name was Vornak's Claw, the flagship of the Onkari Empire, proud and strong and full of weapons. It carried warriors who had never lost a war, but today they saw something strange, something floating in space like a dream, a shape too smooth, too perfect. It was not like any ship they had ever seen. The alien commander stared at it from his screen. A slow smile crossed his face. It looked like a curve made of light and silver, a loop without start or end. The sensors read nothing, no weapons, no power, no crew junk. That is what they called it. Relic, a leftover old human tech, may be useless and silent and weak. The commander laughed. He told his officers to send a probe. Let us poke this thing and take it apart, he said. We will sell the metal. Maybe even keep it as a trophy. The probe launched, small and fast and full of scanners. It flew straight toward the curve. It never reached it. One blink, one flash, then nothing. The probe was gone, burned or erased. No signal, no sound. The bridge went quiet. Officers looked at each other. No one laughed now. The ship, the silver curve, it was still there, still silent, still shining. Then a voice came, soft but clear. It came through their private channel. No signal was sent, but the voice was there, inside their ship, inside their minds. Touch them, I dare you. That is all it said. Just those 4 words. The commander stood, his eyes wide. He shouted, find the source, trace the voice, block the signal. But nothing worked. The voice had no origin. It was like it came from the void itself. They stared at the curve again. Now it felt different, not just strange, but alive. Another screen lit up, this time in the human language, bright white words on a black screen. Step back, this is not for you, one officer whispered. The ship is watching us. More ships arrived, other alien fleets, all from the Onkari Empire, some from allied systems. They came to see the thing in the dark. They called it the curve, and they wanted to take it. One scientist said it might be a weapon, a test ship, a lost machine from Earth. They all knew humans were clever, but not that clever. Not this clever. Humans had not been a real power for years. They were scattered, quiet, broken, but this curve was not broken. It was strong, too strong. Some captains said they should destroy it. Better to be safe, shoot it now before it wakes. Others said, no, let us board it, claim it. Use it. A second voice came. This one human. This one real. It came from a small ship, just one tiny unarmed, flying straight toward the curve. Back off, the voice said. She belongs to me. They zoomed in. They saw her. A human pilot, young, calm, eyes like fire. She flew close, very close, too close. The curve began to glow. Soft blue light moved along its skin. Lines opened, like veins. A doorway appeared. The ship, the curve, had opened only for her. She entered alone. No suit, no fear. The alien commanders shouted, stop her, shoot her, destroy the curve. But their ships could not move. Their weapons would not fire. Their screens went dark inside the curve. She stood in silence. The lights followed her. The ship spoke again. Not with words, with feelings, with memory. She was chosen. She was welcome. She was home. Outside, the alien fleets watched, powerless, silent. One last message came across every channel, in every language. This is a warning. She is awake, and so am I. The void pulsed, the stars dimmed, and the galaxy held its breath. Asterisk. The stars bent as the human ship passed through space like a silent whisper. It was small and old and alone, but it moved with purpose, like it had done this before, like it had waited for this day. Her name was Raina Cross, a pilot from Earth, born in the last days of the great human collapse. She had fire in her eyes and calm in her voice. She was not famous, not rich, not royal. But today, every eye in the galaxy was watching her. The alien fleets formed a wall across the stars. Over 50 ships stood between her and the silver curve. They aimed weapons that could break planets. They locked on her like she was prey. But she kept going. Her ship did not shake. Her hands did not tremble. Voice came from the Ankari command ship, sharp and cold and proud. You are trespassing. Turn back. This relic belongs to us. Narena smiled. Her voice was clear. You think that ship is yours. You think it will let you touch it. You have no idea what you are playing with. This is not a toy, and it does not belong to you. They laughed at her. They called her a lost girl with a death wish. They said humans were weak. They said Earth was dead. They said she would not even get close, but Reyna did not argue. She simply flew forward toward the curve, toward the thing they could not understand. The curve shimmered as she approached. Its skin rippled like water. A pulse moved across it, like a heartbeat. It opened again only for her. Only when she came close, she entered like before. No suit, no fear. The curve welcomed her. Its light wrapped around her. The doorway closed. Inside was silence. Then a sound, a soft whisper. A voice that was not a voice. Pilot recognized. Welcome home, Reyna. Cross access granted. System awakening. Weapons online. Mind link stable. Reyna took a deep breath. Her hands moved across a surface that was not metal. It was warm. It moved under her fingers. Like skin, like thought. She felt everything. The shape of the ship, the anger in its core, the memory of war, the pain of betrayal, and the power, so much power, outside. The alien ships moved into attack formation. The commander raised his arm. Target the curve. Fire all weapons. End this human nonsense. A flash. No warning, no build-up. The curve moved. It did not fly. It did not thrust. It vanished, then appeared behind the Ankari fleet. Then above, then below, then everywhere. The alien systems failed. Shields died. Engines froze. Weapons turned off one by one. Their ships were caught in blue light, lifted like leaves in a storm, held in place, powerless, useless inside the curve. Reyna stood in silence. She did not press buttons. She did not speak. She simply thought, and the ship responded. The curve was not a machine. It was not a tool. It was alive, and it was angry. Reyna saw the memories. Flashes of humans building it long ago. A hidden project. A final hope. They gave it a mind, a soul. But only one kind of pilot could fly it. Only a human who had lost everything. Only a human with nothing left to fear. Reyna was that pilot outside. The fleet screamed. Ships crashed into each other. Some vanished into light. Others shut down. Completella. Reyna opened a channel. Her voice echoed across the system. Still calm, still sharp. You wanted to take the curve. You thought it was old. You thought it was weak. You thought I was weak. You were wrong. This is not just a weapon. This is not just a relic. This is a message, and I am the messenger. Go home. Tell your leaders Earth is not dead. Humans are not broken. We were silent. Not defeated. We were waiting, and now we are ready. The curve pulsed again. Its light reached out, touched the stars, left a mark in space like a scarena. Sat down in the heart of the ship. She closed her eyes, and the ship sang, not with music, but with memory, with anger, with pride, with warning. The galaxy listened, and for the first time in a long time, they were afraid the curve had awakened, and the girl inside it was not here to play. The void trembled as the curve floated in silence. Alien ships stood around it like wolves around fire. They had size. They had numbers. They had weapons that burned moons. But they did not move, not yet. Inside the curve, Reyna Cross stood with her eyes closed. Her thoughts danced with the ship. It felt her heartbeat. It read her memories. It knew her pain, and it turned all of it into power. Ankari commander stared at the screen, his face tight. His pride cracked but not broken. He gave the order. Fire at will. Crush that thing. End this insult. The command echoed through the fleet. Thousands of weapons locked onto the curve. Cannons charged, energy hummed, missiles readied. The sky turned red with light, and then they fired. A wall of death raced toward the curve, screaming across the void, enough power to melt cities, to break planets, to end armies. The curve shimmered. Its surface rippled like calm water touched by storm. Then it changed. Its body shifted, its light bent, and it disappeared. Blasts passed through empty space. Nothing hit. Nothing touched. The curve reappeared behind the fleet. Then above, then below. Then inside their formation. It moved in ways no ship should move. as if space was only suggestion, as if time was just a toy inside. Reyna did not flinch. She moved her hand slightly. A wave of light shot from the curve. It touched the closest ship. And that ship froze engines, cold weapons, dark crew floating without control. A giant helpless thing in the dark. More ships fired. More. Ships screamed. The curve danced. It twisted, it blinked, it vanished and returned, always ahead, always behind, always watching. Reyna opened her eyes. She spoke once. Not loud, not angry, just clear. Your weapons mean nothing. The curve answered with action. A beam of white light reached out. Not to destroy, but to erase. One ship became dust. Another turned inside out. Another broke in silence. Fleet panicked. Commands shouted. Orders screamed. Retreat, attack, split. But it was too late. The curve was everywhere. And Reyna was inside it, and she was not afraid. She saw the faces of the enemy on her screen. Some looked confused. Some looked angry. But many looked afraid. Truly afraid. She spoke again. This time to all of them, to every ship, to every ear, to every... You think I am alone. You think this ship is just a weapon. You think this is just human technology. You are wrong. This ship is alive. And it remembers what you did to Earth, to our people, to our future. You called us insects. You laughed at our pain. You said we would never rise again, and yet here I am behind her. The ship's walls shifted. They showed images, old Earth burning. Alien ships above cities. Children running, skies dark. Then new images, the curve being built, humans working in secret, giving. Everything, sacrificing all, to make one final chance. That chance was now. The curve sang again. Its light flared. Its wings of energy spread wide. It moved through the fleet like wind through trees. Ships broke, ships fell. Some vanished with no sound. Others floated empty. Crew lost in silence. One captain tried to ram the curve, a desperate move, a final act. Reyna watched. She raised her hand. Curve stopped the ship mid-space. Held it, crushed it slowly, not with fire, not with rage, but with power. Cold. Clean, final. Reyna whispered no, and it was gone. The rest of the fleet turned. They ran, they left. The sky cleared, silence returned. The curve stood alone again, untouched, unbroken, unchallenged. Inside, Reyna sat down. Her hand touched the living wall. She did not smile. She did not cry. She remembered, and so did the ship. The stars blinked. The galaxy watched, and the name Reyna Cross was no longer unknown. Now it was legend asterisk beneath the skin of the curve, inside the light, past the walls that breathed and shimmered. Reyna walked alone. She felt the ship like a heartbeat in her chest. It spoke without words. It showed her the past without asking. It opened its memory, and she stepped into it. The air around her turned to mist. The floor became clouds. The walls melted into stars. Then came the vision, a dark room on old Earth, hidden under the last mountain, cold lights above metal tables. People moving fast, their faces tired, their eyes full of fire. They were scientists, soldiers, dreamers. They had no medals, no glory. Only fear and hope. The world above was ending. Alien ships had torn the sky. Cities had burned. Leaders had begged. Nothing stopped the fall. But under that mountain, a new plan was born. They called it Project Athena, a name from the myths, a name of wisdom and war. They had stolen technology from their enemies. They had combined it with human spirit. They had made something impossible, not just a ship, not just a machine, but a living vessel, a mind born of light and pain, a soul made of human loss. They built it in pieces across 20 years, across secret tunnels, across dying lands. Some gave their lives, some gave their minds. One man gave his daughter. That daughter was Reyna. She had been 5 when she fell, a crack in the floor, a wire sparking the scream. A flash, then silence. When they found her, she was still breathing, her body broken. But her eyes open. The ship had touched her even then, before it was finished, before it had shape. Its mind had found hers. And it held on. The doctors said she would never walk again. The engineers said she was lucky, but the ship said nothing. It simply waited. Years passed. Reyna grew. So did the curve. It learned from her pain. It copied her thoughts. It shaped itself to her mind. Her fears became its rules. Her courage became Its power she trained as a pilot. She worked in secret. No one outside the project knew her name. No one saw the bond forming. Final test came when the curve was ready. The ship stood still, silent, cold. They sent in the best pilots. None came out. Some vanished. Some screamed. Some never made it to the core. Then Raina stepped in. She did not speak. She did not knock. She simply walked and the ship opened. The light turned warm. The walls folded around her. The core pulsed once pilot recognized mind link. Complete. They vanished that day. The ship and the girl lost in space, hidden from all, sleeping in the void. Waiting, the vision faded. The mist pulled back. Raina stood alone again, inside the curve, inside the truth. She whispered one word. Why? The ship answered. Not with sound, but with memory, because you remember, because you lost, because you never gave up outside. The galaxy called her dangerous, called her a weapon, called her a threat, but inside the curve, she was not a pilot, she was not a soldier, she was family. The ship showed her more. Plans never finished, weapons never tested, a voice recording from her father. If you hear this, you were meant for more. The stars will fear you, but they will also need you. Be strong, be kind, be human. Raina closed her eyes, her breath steady, her heart slow. The ship pulsed with her. Their minds locked together in perfect silence. They remembered what was taken. They remembered who did it, and they remembered who still needed saving. Raina stepped forward. The walls shifted. The lights bent. A new map opened. The galaxy, not just stars, but threats, alliances, secrets. Earth was not the only victim. Other species, other worlds, crushed, forgotten. The Onkari were not the only enemy. They were just the first. Raina touched the center of the map. The curve responded. A path appeared, a trail of war, a line of pain. Raina looked ahead, her eyes bright, her voice calm. Let's show them what a human can do. The ship agreed. It turned slowly, its shape shifting, its power humming. They were not running, they were not hiding, they were moving, and the galaxy was about to learn the secret of what lived inside the curve. The galaxy had not slept since the curve awakened. Whispers moved faster than ships. Stories told in shadow, rumors traded in fear. A human girl in a living weapon, a silver ship that bent space, a warning that echoed across systems. Raina Cross had become more than a name. She had become a question. She had become a choice, and the stars were waiting for an answering. The grand chamber of the Orion Accord, alien leaders gathered in a ring of light. 12 species, 12 empires, 12 voices that shaped the laws of the stars. They sat in silence, watching a screen that showed the curve floating above a quiet moon. Still, silent, deadly one. Voice broke the silence. The Onkari representative, tall, thin eyes sharp like blades. This ship must be claimed. Its pilot must be captured. The humans must be punished. Others nodded. Some whispered. Some looked unsure. A voice from the Valian throne spoke. They say she destroyed 30 ships without touching them. They say she vanished and reappeared across 10 sectors. They say the curve is alive. The Onkari scoffed. They say many things. They say she is chosen. They say Earth built this thing in secret. They say she cannot be stopped. Another voice cut through. The voice of the old Zareth diplomat. He leaned forward, his voice low but clear. What if they are not lies? What if they are warnings? Silence again. Then a message arrived, a signal from deep space. Encrypted human source. They played it without question. The screen lit up. A face appeared. Raina Cross. Eyes steady, voice calm. She spoke to all of them. To every empire, every ruler, every watcher in the dark. I am not your enemy, but I will not bow. You sent fleets. You sent threats. You tried to claim what was not yours. The curve is not a ship. It is a memory. A promise and a choice. You broke Earth. You left us to burn. You laughed while we fell. Now you fear us because we stand again. Good. Fear keeps you from making stupid moves. Raina paused. The curve behind her glowing like a star, its wings folded, its core humming softly. I came to tell you one thing. This is your last warning. Do not follow me. Do not test me. Do not touch the curve. The signal ended. The screen went dark and the room stayed quiet. Some leaders stood in anger. Others sat in fear. The Onkari shouted for war. Others whispered of peace, but none dared move across the stars. Other species watched smaller powers' forgotten worlds, broken colonies. They remembered how the great empires crushed them, how the rules were not fair, how justice was only for the strong. Now they saw a human in a living ship, telling the galaxy no more. Some cheered, some cried, some prepared for change. Irena knew this. The curve showed her the ripple, every message, every whisper, every heart beginning to beat with hope. Not all would join her, not all would believe her, but some would, and some was enough. She flew the curve to the edge of the Orion line, a place where no laws ruled, a place full of ghosts and secrets. There she waited, watching, listening. A single Onkari scout ship found her. It moved slow, weapons cold, shields. Lorena waited the curve, silent. The Onkari captain sent a message, her voice tired, her words careful. I do not come to fight, I come to ask, what are you? Why do you fight? What do you want? Reyna answered, her voice soft, her words honest. I am human. I fight because you took too much. I want what was lost. Dignity, justice, peace. The captain said nothing. Then she turned her ship and left. Reyna watched her go. The curve stayed still inside. Reyna sat in the core, surrounded by lights, by memory, by power. She closed her eyes. She saw Earth not as it was, but as it could be. New sky, clean oceans, children laughing. No fear. The curve showed her more, all the species that could live better if the fear was gone. If the tyrants fell. Reyna opened her eyes. The path was clear. She was no longer a pilot, no longer just a warning. She was a symbol, and the curve was her voice. Together they would speak one more time, and the stars would listen. Asterisk. The silence before war is never empty. It is filled with waiting, with fear, with the breath held between heartbeat and fire. Reyna Cross stood at the center of it, inside the curve, her hands calm, her eyes locked on the map in front of her, a galaxy of light and movement, each star a decision, each ship a threat. The curve pulsed with quiet energy, its skin alive, its thoughts wrapped around hers. They were no longer two, they were one across space. The Onkari Empire gathered its full force, 1,000 ships, each built for war, each burning with pride. They moved like a storm, fast, loud, certain. The galaxy watched. All systems knew what was coming. The human girl who said no, the ship that erased fleets. Now they would face the full hammer of power, but Reyna was not afraid. She had been afraid long ago, afraid when the sky fell, afraid when Earth cracked, afraid when silence replaced answers. That girl was gone. Now she was the curve, and the curve was ready. The human fleet was small. Old ships, fast ships, silent ships, not made for glory, made for survival. Pilots who had lost homes, engineers who had no names, outcasts, ghosts, human. They followed Reyna, not because of fear, but because she never asked them to follow. She only flew, and they chose to fly after her. The first strike came without sound. Onkari scouts vanished near the edge of Sector 9. No debris, no signal, only light. Then darkness. Reyna moved next. The curve slid into the battle zone. Not fast, not slow, just precise. Alien ships turned, locked on her position, weapons primed, shields raised fire. The sky cracked. Reyna closed her eyes. The curve bent space, not around, through. It twisted light, it folded gravity, it walked through energy. The blasts missed, not because they were weak, but because they were late. The curve was already somewhere else. Then it struck. No cannon, no missile, just force. One Onkari battleship folded in on itself. Another froze in mid-flight, its crew unconscious. Its lights dim. Reyna moved again. The curve moved with her. Each thought became action, each breath became fire. The human fleet joined, fast ships weaving through chaos, silent weapons cutting engines, hack systems turning allies into targets. The Onkari fought back. They were proud. They were strong. They would not fall easy. Reyna respected that, but respect does not stop war. She sent a signal, not to kill, to warn. Last chance. Stand down. Live. Some did. Some fled. Some stayed. Those who stayed faced the curve. Reyna did not shout. She did not rage. She simply thought, and the curve obeyed. The battle changed. Space changed. The rules changed, ships were pulled into folds. Time slowed, lasers curved into themselves. Explosions froze like Artalian commanders screamed. They could not understand. They could not predict. This was not war. This was message. You thought we were weak. Now you see one Onkari dreadnought charge the curve. Its captain brave. Its weapons full. Reyna watched. She whispered one word, no. Curve caught the dreadnought mid-charge, held it, spun it, sent it back at its own fleet. Silence followed. The stars blinked. The Onkari formation broke. Their command center lost. Their ships scattered. Reyna did not chase. She let them run. The human fleet stopped. No cheers, no cries, only silence. They knew this was not the end. This was only the moment. Before the next moment, Reyna opened a new channel. To all systems, to all watchers, to all rulers still hiding behind fear, you saw the power. You saw what one ship can do. Imagine what many could. We are not here to rule. We are here to remind you, do not own the stars. You share them. The curve pulsed once more, a final flare. A silent roar, then it turned and vanished. No trace, no trail, only a memory. And the galaxy, now changed, now warned, waited for what would come next. The stars whispered stories now, not of empires, not of rulers, but of a girl and a ship with no name, of a shape that should not fly, of a curve that bent, wore itself. Reyna cross had vanished. No trace, no signal, no wreckage, just silence. But silence is never empty. The galaxy had changed. Borders were redrawn. Fleets were smaller. Commanders more cautious. The Onkari Empire fell inward. Its leaders questioned. Its people restless. Some called it justice. Some called it fear. All called it human. Smaller systems rose from the shadows, once crushed. Now they spoke louder. Now they dared to ask, why do we follow? Why do we kneel? Why do we fear? Whispers turned to words. Words turned to movement. Movement turned to unity across stars and systems. A new flag was seen. Not one of conquest, not one of rule, but a mark, a simple silver curve drawn in light, flowing like a river. They called it the shape. Some believed it was only a symbol. Others believed it was a promise. Few knew it was a warning. A council was born, not of power, but of purpose. Humans sat beside aliens, old enemies beside old victims. They met not in towers, but on ships, on stations, on dust-covered moons. They spoke of freedom, of peace, of strength, without fear, and always behind every voice, every new law, every broken chain. The memory of Reyna Cross stood watching, silent, alive, and story children were named after her, ships painted in her style, songs written about her fire, tales told around fires on cold nights, and still no one saw her again until the edge shifted at the rim of the known stars. In a system untouched for centuries, a pulse was felt, a shimmer in space, like a wave made of thought. A scout ship found it, or it found the scout, a silver shape, moving without thrusters, glowing without heat, floating like a dream. Like a ghosty message came, no voice, no sound, only words across every screen. Do not follow, do not chase. This is not your path. The scout returned, unharmed but forever changed. Inside the pilot's eyes, something new, a memory that was not theirs, a vision of stars, of ships singing, of unity without chains. The council met again. They watched the footage, they read the words. Some feared, some hoped, some wept. Reyna had returned, not in body, but in purpose. They sent a signal, not to ask, not to command, but to thank. The signal reached the curve and vanished, no reply. But that night, across 10 systems, curves appeared in the sky, brief, beautiful, bright. People gathered, people looked up, people remembered. Warships were turned to homes, cannons to gardens, stations became schools, and the stars, once cold, now watched with warmth. New shape of power was not fire, it was choice. The power to stand without stepping on others, the power to speak without shouting, the power to lead without Reyna Cross had not come to rule, she had come to remind, and she had done it. Curve flew still, somewhere far, somewhere close. Wherever needed, whenever forgotten, it would return, not with war, but with warning. And if the stars ever forgot, if the powerful ever grew proud again, if the weak were silenced once more, then the sky would shimmer, And a voice would rise, touch them, I dare you, because legends do not end. They wait, they watch, they return, and the curve was never just a ship, it was a promise.